22nd. The first item on the agenda is approval of minutes from April 8th. Did everybody read the minutes?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, are there any changes to the agenda? I have about three. Yeah, we haven't taken them yet. But one is to add a presentation by John Broderick with the goal of having us write a letter to support Down Street. Another one would be MTAP funding, and if we've decided what we want to spend money on yet. And then since David isn't able to be here, I wanted to add just a quick discussion about the idea of the municipal planning grant, since he is strongly advocating for that.
Okay, sounds good.
Next item is community agreements.
Do we have to approve our agenda? We change it? No?
I don't think so.
I approve it. I have no problems.
I don't have any problem.
Community agreements, if you've been here before, you know that we just ask that everybody's respectful and we give people a chance to speak, and we don't, we disagree with ideas, not people, and being mindful of time. So we'll also keep people on track if we need to. Thank you, everybody.
Is there any public comment?
Yes. Yes, I would like to make a comment.
Excellent, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lori. We can hear you.
Okay. Hi, I'm having technical problems with my computer, but and my printer. Anyway, I'm Lori Veach, a Plainfield resident. I'm concerned about a possible new Plainfield law about abandoned and dilapidated housing. I've been renovating an abandoned house near where I live, for which I received a small loan from Plainfield Revolving Loan Fund. In one of your recent meetings, I believe one of your committee members said the proposed ordinance is modeled on St. Johnsbury's abandoned and dilapidated housing. However, Plainfield is significantly smaller than St. J, and their regulations perhaps need modifying to fit our situation. And also in one of your recent meetings, I believe a member of your committee urged carrots in addition or before sticks. And I definitely agree with that approach, and I encourage that. I hope your committee, the select board and others, we'll seek carrots. And here my printing gets very fuzzy. For instance, hey, my split screen just reappeared, but oh well. So anyway, it would be wonderful to add more funds to the Plainfield Revolving Loan Fund so that larger loans could be provided for rehabs, such as 50 to 100,000, or find other sources for loans to make rehabs easier for our residents to rehab their own dilapidated property, or perhaps others purchase property in Plainfield and either do a professional or DIY rehab. One incentive the town could give is perhaps for a year while a rehab is underway, there could be a pause in property taxes while that's happening, because the renovated house or property will bring in higher taxes than a dilapidated property. Anyway, my plea is for carrots. Thank you.
Oh, I got what you're saying.
So, Will, you are on the, dilapidated houses working group. Would you like to speak to Laurie's concerns?
Sure, I share those concerns, and there are a couple of things we did try to downsize it to be more in line with the size of Plainfield. And we are still looking for ways to, rather than have penalties and just have fines, to create movement in the house, to have a framework where David was talking about putting a rehab group together, an ad hoc group of builders in town that can provide services or advice as part of, once we notify the buildings. And we also are working on trying to upgrade or get more money into the revolving loan fund. So yes, it's kind of a three-legged stool where you have identification and penalties, but you also have groups that can advise and and help the landowner move forward with the renovation and search for funds that would help to do that. So it's not just an ordinance that hands out penalties, but really a method for working with the property owner to move that property into more usable space. So yes, we share your concerns, Laura.
Laurie, in terms of timeline, I believe that we are trying to forward our draft of this ordinance to the select board either this month or next month. And then, of course, they will have to decide whether they want to take it up or not. So I think nothing is going to happen in the very immediate future. But I'm really thank you for being attentive and coming along and making your points, because they're really useful.
Any other? I don't think we have any other community,
I don't think so. So the next, Laurie, is that help? Maybe she went away.
Oh, she's nodding.
Okay, all right. So the next item is the report.
Sorry, I just want to say thank you.
You're very welcome. The next item is the report from the VCDA conference. And I believe we had Betsy and Vicky. Did you go, Gwen? No, I didn't go either. Did Chris go?
No.
I wasn't able to go. I think my son was sick that day.
Yeah.
Somebody was sick, maybe.
And John attended also.
You were there.
The Vermont Community Development Association, which I'm trying to remember how they're connected with the state, but anyway. The Vermont Community Development Association put on this conference. I think they do it annually. Yeah, I don't know. It was well attended. An impressive number of people from around the state. We of course got started with Mike PHAC telling us how much housing is needed, how desperate we are, and then we went on to talk about the first thing that was covered was the state of housing. From that discussion, my takeaway, and I think a lot of Vicky, she did send me lots of notes, was a program called 802 Housing, which is coming on board. I think it is on board. I don't know if there's money, how much money there is for it, but 802 housing is a kind of package deal. I think you can go online, find 802 housing, which is under one of the state agencies. I'll figure that one out and tell you in a minute. But basically they have designs for renovations, designs for new housing of various prices, of various dimensions. Some can be just auxiliary additions to your own house. Some are auxiliary buildings. They're pre-designed. Some of them they're recommending are prefab. And they say that they would meet requirements, state and probably town requirements in terms of dimensions and whatever meeting building codes. So it's an attempt. They're pre-designed, pre-approved homes. It will assist the state level approvals and streamline permits and have get them onto the market quickly. So that might be a resource that we want to, some people, either the committee, but people who are considering doing a project want to look into. It's called 802 Homes. And I don't see the agency, but it's one of those state housing agencies. Okay, the next topic that was covered was, she has it out of order, but was CHIPS, wasn't it? CHIPS. Now there was a lot of emphasis on the CHIP program, which I should know what it stands for. But anyway, the CHIP program is basically a method by which you can finance a development in your community, either by the town taking out the funds. So I guess what's the advantage? It's low income or no interest. It's very low interest.
It's a tax increment financing tool. So
Yeah.
essentially, the bonds can be floated or debt can be borrowed. And then that debt or bonds can be repaid with the increased taxes generated from that land, from that development.
Yes.
So it needs to be tied very specifically to a development, and that development gets very carefully evaluated
Yeah.
before this thing gets approved.
Is there like a pre-appraisal of the eventual
yeah.
taxable rate?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
So it's Community Housing and Infrastructure Program, and it's brand new in Vermont, just approved. And it's being run by the Vermont Economic Progress Council. The applications are available.
Yeah, and you can go online and there are very clear guidelines. And the first one is, it says, she's kept repeating that, make sure you've read everything very well. And she also said, make sure you have community engagement and buy-in before you start any project. And there are very specific steps to follow and to make sure you have everything on board. And you can borrow for a development, and the development can be the borrower, right? But the town has to be backing it up.
So it can be an individual person with support of the town.
Can be an individual developer.
Developer.
Yeah,
Okay, so I, as an individual who sees a
Developer.
house, okay,
this is for big deals.
okay.
This is for big deals, big
Does
deals.
it have a sort of target scale?
I didn't go to the second session. There were 2 sessions on that, and she did not mention that in the first section, but I assume they were talking about a development of whatever, 10 to 50 to 100 to 200 houses, that they're talking, these are programs there. they're trying to make work for Chittenden County,
Mhm.
any county around the state, but you know, it has to be big enough for that county. Did you take another piece away from Chip that I
I
missed?
just think, you know,
Lot
the
I missed.
Vermont Community Development Association Conference every year is a chance for the government agencies, Agency for Commerce and Community Development, to show what they're doing, to open up doors for housing. And 802 housing is a series of initiatives, but pre-approved, pre-permitted housing designs, that's an important step. If, you know, it can lower the cost of development for single-family homes. And CHIP, you know, it's brand new here, but it's potentially pretty revolutionary. So I think that the state wanted to talk to, you know, professionals in the business about how to take the first steps. You know, what do you need to do to get the technical assistance to get applications together? So, and that's, you know, the conference every year is topical things, and this year, those were the big topics.
There were two other, maybe only one, but I thought two other things that jumped out at me. One was there were small scale developers, you could say, local developers that were highlighted who came. There were two people, brothers from Bells Falls, and they've done a pretty remarkable job in Bells Falls, developing dilapidated housing or underutilized housing and they talked about how to make it work as a developer. So I thought that was really,
The other side, the other view.
good to hear. Yeah, like they were talking about you know, that was, they could, and they also talked about not borrowing a lot. They didn't borrow a lot of money. They took advantage of the, loans and grants that are available through the state. And then they, did a lot of their own work. They had a lot, really good they tried to have good personal relationships with the people they rented to. So they checked in every month, just picking up the check or whatever it was. They knew who they were renting to. They kept a good eye on things. And there was one more thing that, anyway, yeah, they said the value of putting in, say, like four one-bedroom apartments into a building if you're rehabbing, instead of saying, okay, maybe this could be a duplex, and thinking maybe this could be for four people, four apartments. And that would, as the owner of that building, you'd get more return on your job.
If you do four.
Yeah, if you did 4 single-bedroom apartments, you get a little bit more, you get maybe a lot more return. But anyway, they saw the advantage of doing that. And they said that they felt like there was a market for that. And they're just trying to, they were trying to share some of their advice as being developers, small town developers.
And
They made a big impact on Bells Falls.
thank you for sending all the slides and everything.
Oh, good,
It's
I didn't check it out.
It's quite a lot.
I thought it was.
So, for example, do you know which sections those other developers might be in? I'd like to go see that.
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, let me just tell you what it's called. Did you remember that? Did you hear that? See? How to encourage, it's called, it was at 1:00, how to encourage and support small scale development in your community. And I went to one more recipe for activating places planned growth. And the main thing I took away from that was that we're not the only town
Right.
with struggles, with facing difficulties. There are other towns who, you know, just have a variety of different needs and don't have town centers, don't have, you know, whatever it's called, designated downtown, that designated those areas, you know, all those things that give us a little bit of an advantage. And other problems like, you know, a lot of second homes and et cetera, second home owners that don't, you know, don't add too much to the community. So, yeah, I learned that's one of the things I learned about.
Thank you. So the next item is review the abandoned and dilapidated housing ordinance. and vote whether to forward to the select board.
I'll speak to that. I made a couple of changes, based on some things we heard at the last meeting about the foundations and dealing with the FEMA buyouts somehow. And I didn't get a full response. I didn't get the work group. It didn't get to meet about that yet. So I would like to get the work group to sort of endorse that or add any other changes, and then make sure we do have some offerings for that rehab ad hoc group, and perhaps a little beefier revolving fund or a little more knowledge on that before sending it on.
Yeah, I'd like to know what we have available in our fund and what we generally offer people if they request money. Do you happen to know that?
That's our next
That's the next agenda item.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I just think it should be a package that we send along.
Yeah.
Good.
That sounds good. Okay, so Graham, you are going to report on the revolving loan
My
fund.
report is that I've invited Carl to speak to us.
That's a great way to do it.
That's- Yeah, good delegation, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. This sounds like exactly what the revolving loan fund was set up to do, what you're doing. And I'll read through the purposes that we've established, but quickly, it was, in 1985, it was initiated by the Vermont Community Development Program, gave the town a block grant. With the initial purpose was to improve the condition of historic structures, create housing, and improve the vitality of the downtown area.
Hmm.
We're still there.
Yeah.
So the town had the option of granting money from this fund, which at the time was about $70,000, or loan it at a low interest rate and keep the fund moving. So that's what we elected to do. I helped set this up in 1985. The purposes of this are emergency building repairs for eligible borrowers, job creation, job preservation, and enhancement of Plainfield, improve community-owned facilities, improve the accessibility of businesses and facilities to people with disabilities, promote establishment or expansion of business, including agriculture, promote or increase affordable and safe housing, owner occupied or rental, improve appearance of town of Plainfield, and promote preservation of historic properties. Those were the initial missions, and we haven't changed those. I mean, they still seem appropriate. We have a small committee that reviews applications. There's an application form online, on the website. There's also one at the town office. There's a small registering fee. And then our committee gets together as needed to review any application. The interest rates are generally 1% or 2% lower than commercial. The terms are somewhat flexible. We're trying to make it work for everyone. We do ask for information about the viability of repayment. You know, we want to be responsible for this fund, and it does go through one of our local bank. They manage the process.
The repayment.
So we were instrumental in helping Jimmy Kennedy when he had the restaurant, rebuild that. Roofs that people lose, Jan Dansker got a new roof, but it hasn't been real active for a long time, and we keep trying to remind people it's here, but it's.
How much money is in it?
We have over 100 grand. I don't know how much it is exactly. I'm
Yeah.
trying to find that out. I've heard numbers between $100,000 and $120,000.
And is there a maximum amount that any particular individual can borrow, or?
We have in the past, we started at $10,000. We've gone to 20 for some projects. the idea is to keep the fund viable, so we don't wanna blow it all out in one place, obviously.
Right.
We wanna distribute it to folks who actually need it. And, we always hoped that it would be used as leverage to get more financing or investment or whatever. That it's just one piece of the financing puzzle. So that's all the purpose of
But
it.
it can be for a private house, it doesn't have to be like a business. Right?
Yes, let's see,
As long as it's
Yeah, I
within
did say
the
it's a
village.
family home.
Yeah.
okay, here's eligibility. The program's designed to serve the interests of the town of Plainfield, citizens of the town, businesses, nonprofit organizations, town government, and community organizations are eligible. So we try to, anyone has a project that's gonna achieve some of these goals is considered.
But it doesn't seem well publicized, and maybe that's not a bad thing, given that it is limited, like you could have 5 people and it would be gone.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they're paying it back, but.
Yeah, but it reduces our ability to respond quickly if somebody has a roof blown off their house or something. When we first started this in 1985, we were definitely afraid that there would be hundreds of people trying to.
Yeah.
Well, it has never happened.
Right,
And we haven't done a lot of advertising because we're just a few people, but,
yeah,
it's something that we should take advantage of. The money's sitting in a money market account, gets interest, but it's not helping anyone. Yes,
If somebody wanted to buy a house in town and they fit the criteria, but
Yeah.
for example, as a rehab, you usually have to have a large down payment. Could that be something that it was used for to help pay for a down payment?
that's a good question. I think if it makes the project work, I think it would be positively reviewed. It's, again, we're trying to preserve the fund, so we have a number of people who can access it. But also we want to help people achieve what they're trying to achieve.
That's good to know.
Is there much of a precedent for this in other places? I'm not aware of any other towns that have this. Are you?
I don't know of any specifically, but I do know that the block grant program in the 80s was being distributed to towns throughout the state. And I wouldn't be surprised. I do know there are some other towns with revolving loan funds, but I'm not sure how they're funded.
Mhm.
This came from an original grant.
Yeah,
And others may have other types of financing.
yeah,
So when we were speaking with the, man from St. Johnsbury, he mentioned that they have a fund.
okay,
That's right. I sat in on that, and they did talk about that.
So sometimes they grant funded some amount.
yeah,
I don't know, I can't remember, it was loan, all grant funds, or it was part, is both, I don't know. I don't remember that part, but he did say they have. And they've accumulated money, I think they said, sometimes, somewhat, from the fees they
yeah,
charge. For the annually, they charge, landlords or property owners who rent, a certain fee, and they do a annual inspection.
Mhm. Yeah, they were focused, as I remember, they were focused a lot more on rentals. And they have a lot of rentals, so
Yes.
they have a big pool to work with. We're not quite in
Over
that position.
150, I think it's.
Yeah, it was quite a few, as I remember.
Has this fund ever received additional topping up to the principal, or it has just grown as a result of loan repayments and being in the money market?
It's only that.
Yeah,
We have never gone after grants, which I think might be something we could consider
Yeah.
trying. We've just never done it.
yeah,
But we can add to this fund, certainly.
yeah.
Haven't we heard that other towns may have a similar fund and they funded it through, at their town, through their town budget? I think there are funds that. towns that do
That's
that.
quite possible. Because of the
yeah.
lack of,
Taxes.
yeah,
Yeah, so it might be whatever, $10,000 a year or something.
Yes.
well, we have other funds that the town puts money into. that serve a good purpose. So this could be one, we just never pursued it because it didn't seem like there was enough interest. And
Right.
so, we just didn't want to put a lot of time into it if it wasn't gonna
I
serve.
think we're recognizing that we have buildings in town that are in desperate need. And possibly there's a way to encourage owners to invest in those with the help of some, whatever, loan funding, whatever grants we can, help them locate, like the one, the BHAC.
We have,
Grant, possibly there's other options, but that's what we're trying to
Yeah,
encourage and
Yeah.
pursue.
well, I think it ties into a lot of these issues here, and the goals of this fund is
Yeah.
to rehab buildings, to help the community have the appearance of the community. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a lot of different things that could be approached with this.
yeah, and better housing makes a better town.
Exactly, yeah.
This might seem like a lofty idea, but I'm wondering if we, are starting to do an inventory of all the houses that need to be rehabbed, if there's a way to kind of like crunch the numbers, right? Like, oh, if a family can get this grant and they meet the eligibility, and then we have the revolving loan fund for a down payment or something like that. If then, as we start to share this information with citizens who might be interested, some of the legwork's already done and it's
Mhm.
not so overwhelming, and they might go, wait, I can actually afford that one, which they might not have even thought about that, Cause I've always, for example, myself assumed a rehab was totally off the table because I don't have a large down payment to put on. So I haven't even thought about rehabbing a building, but if
Mhm.
I could get help with something like that,
Mhm.
then that would be something I might be able to do.
Right.
If I can get approved for a mortgage, I just need the down payment, so.
Yeah,
That would
it's
be a lot
very-
of work, I think.
It's that we're looking to achieve, which is helping the town.
Um,
So there's a second item here, which is discuss frequently asked questions for the fund. I'm not sure exactly.
Well, we're trying to come up with a list. And this is my, like, whatever, draft. It can be approved upon. And I thought as we begin to talk about it with the select board or other community members, we'll get more questions, but if somebody's looking at this and saying, how can we make these 13 pages of ordinance? How can we just digest this slightly so that
Mhm.
somebody can get the major points? Because a lot of people don't want to read this.
Oh,
Or
I'm sorry,
can't,
I
don't have
thought
the
the
capacity, maybe.
FAQs were for the revolving loan.
oh, yeah, sorry, that's how I read it too.
Yeah. I think, I don't,
We're not talking about the.
I don't think so,
ordinance.
no.
Okay, that's for another matter.
I think, yeah, maybe with your working group, you can hone those.
Well, and we thought we would continue to get
Yeah,
questions, so
yeah.
then we'll write those down.
Yeah, I don't have any specific questions, but I would say if you wanted to use this in some sort of, here's a bunch of ideas,
Yeah.
this is one
Mhm.
that certainly you could share and
Right.
should share, so people know that there are some resources out there.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes a little work, but, and it has to be paid back ultimately, but.
No, it's
Not
amazing
enough
what there
money
is when
done.
you start digging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am curious if there's the potential to grow the fund and the opportunities that it could grant in a similar fashion to the CHIP program, because if this fund is being used solely for increasing property values to the extent that the town is concerned about it, like if there's a rehab that happens, the property value is gonna go up, the taxable amount's gonna go up.
Yeah.
Is there a way that this fund could be
Tied
tied in with that same funding structure that CHIP uses of potential future tax revenue?
Mm.
And instead of it being used for like a big development, it can be used on that individual scale. We're gonna bring this building up to a higher standard.
Well, would that make the town essentially a small developer if they're loaning out funds?
Not if it gets paid back, it's.
Yeah, and that would,
It's just a loan, so I don't think
Is
it's,
CHIP a grant?
the check would be a grant.
Oh.
yeah, so I'm like, could the town apply for CHIP funding or somehow CHIP style funding for the town loan fund
That's what I was wondering.
I
too.
think I can.
And essentially, yeah, diversify what a small developer means.
The fact that we have a revolving loan fund and have had it for many years.
Yeah,
It might make it more appealing
Yeah.
for somebody to grant the money into it
Mm-hmm.
to help us keep going and increase the amount that we could loan out
Yeah,
to people. Because 10,000, 20,000 doesn't buy you much anymore.
no, it
Well,
does,
That's why I was thinking
yeah, that's
about
why if we can get that
town
number up, like the total number up, and then obviously the individual loan amounts.
Yeah.
To be able to do
But
something.
then the only way we could do that is with some kind of granting
Yeah,
program.
bigger
that
principle.
somebody-
Is the I in CHIP, is that infrastructure?
I wrote it down, hold on.
Thanks for looking it up.
Chip. I wrote it down somewhere, Community Housing and Infrastructure Program.
Okay, housing and infrastructure, it's a
Hmm.
CHAIP.
Chip.
CHAIP.
And I should say that I did say that it works for all members of the community, including the town itself.
Yes,
We actually used some of this money way back when we were building our offices
Hmm.
to help bridge a shortfall in money, and the town ultimately paid it back.
okay,
So, there's a lot of ways we could use this, because it's totally in our discretion.
okay,
The select board makes the final decision, but our committee recommends to them.
okay.
That's how it works.
What, I don't know, did they talk about this at the conference? What defines like a small developer? Like just somebody who has the money. So Travis Hodgkins in town, for example, he bought that building right on the
Mhm.
corner.
Yeah.
Would he be considered a small developer because he fixed it up and rented it out? Or do you have to have an LLC?
No, I don't know. I think we'd have to look into what defines a developer, but I think this can include small developers such as, a local individual. Yes, but I think we have to study CHIP
Mhm.
more.
But if we could pair the two.
Yeah. Is there a CHIP liaison?
Yes, yeah, I think so. I think that they tried to explain that they had a clear website. And they tried to say they're very user friendly. Did you get that feeling? When you were listening to this?
Like, go to the website, don't ask us.
No, they wanted to say their website has a lot of information.
Okay,
But, they were implying that they would be willing to talk on the phone, yes.
okay,
I think they said, start out by looking at the web.
That'd be really good information to
Yeah.
have, to know if there was some money available.
yeah, and even if it's not if there's no way to connect these two, I think it's gonna be worthwhile for us as a committee to be able to offer any assistance we can to try to put a little more attention into finding opportunities to beef up that fund.
Convince
We
people
could-
to become small
Yeah,
developers.
and we could, we have kind of an unwritten maximum of 20 grand right now.
Right.
We could make it 50 if we
Right.
got a few $100,000 in the fund.
Yeah,
We can adjust very easily, because it's all in our control.
yeah,
And I think that's what we were thinking about too, in terms of having to have a little more.
Yeah.
Knowing the economy.
Yeah.
As it is, everything costs more.
Yeah, well, realize this was done 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
things, costs have gone up a little bit.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, so the next topic is the municipal planning grant application. I didn't realize this was on the agenda, so sorry that I added it just now.
How dare you?
But this is, actually, I maybe should just read David's email about it, because I think he's the clearest on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so what he says is, regarding advising the select board to direct the grants administration committee to pursue a municipal planning grant. We each have our own focus on what we think the town housing priorities should be. Mine is very much in keeping with how the RFP for North Montpelier Village planning, which I sent out earlier, is articulated. Of course, it would have to be modified for Plainfield Village. I think pursuing something along these lines should be a priority. I don't know if everybody read it. Did everybody read the RFP? Well, I think,
RFP stood for.
I think,
Request for proposal.
yeah,
Request for proposal. This is something I saw it's posted in East Montpelier and I copied
Yeah,
it and
I
sent
think
it out.
I saw it on Front Porch Forum.
Oh, okay, okay. So anyway, it was a, they got this money, you said through, you found it somewhere and listed in here where they got this money, but they have about, at this point, they have like about $25,000 to hire someone out, somebody who does planning, to help them look at the village of North Montpelier and see how it could be improved, rehabbed, restored, and more things. A lot of other components, how to.
Yeah, there's the broad survey. It wasn't just housing.
Right, it's
like-
very sort of holistic look at
Like
the center.
transportation, walkability, paths, future flooding issues, how to be, prepared, how to make sure that they've looked at the, what needs to be done or can be done. Aging in place options, vacant property set strategies. It said include cost estimates, development, infrastructure, mobility, waters. So they don't happen to have, we have some things already in place, like a municipal water system. They don't. Wastewater solution, walkability, bike, connections, utilities, EV hubs. We happen to have an EV hub.
So on this
So, anyway,
agenda
they go
item,
on.
is this what David's asking that
Yes.
we request that the town? for a
David
grant
feels that
opportunity?
we should put forward a proposal to the select board that the grants administrator apply
Mhm.
for a grant to fund
A similar.
a study like
Sure.
this, and then, with the money that we would get, as East Montpelier is doing, put out an RFP
Mhm.
to get someone. So it would be, in a way, what all of us are doing, I think.
Yeah,
What I like about it is that it would sort of centralize everything and get it all together, whereas there's so many parts, like, roads with their footpaths and.
yeah.
Well, and also we have maybe help, from the National Park Service. Aren't they in a way helping us get not just one maybe one piece of this,
Right.
but they're helping us look at the soon to be removed buildings in town, housing in town, how that's gonna be,
Mhm.
how that will be restored in some way to need it. And what's next for that particular part of the village?
It's kind of amazing to me that all the towns are having the same issues in a lot of ways, and so a consultant who's used to doing this kind of work elsewhere might be a really good approach. The National Park Service has been great, and they're gonna continue they're gonna start developing some drawings for us to review as a community
Mhm.
and give us ideas of what might be possible. I mean, there are restrictions on what we can do with the land, but there's also opportunities there. We've talked about trails, we've talked about access, we've talked about plantings, we've talked about all those kinds of things with them.
Speaking
Who
of,
are they in communication with?
I'm sorry?
In the town, who are they? What entity is the National Park Service interfacing?
Conservation Commission is primary.
Yeah.
They would be the ones who would be doing the plantings along the river to reduce erosion and that kind of thing. But
So they began a conversation with you or other members of the select board, and then they expanded to the
yeah,
they contacted you, and then they expanded, you said, let's involve people.
yeah, they asked us if we were interested, and I said yes.
Mhm.
And so we went out and I'm still on the committee that talks to them. But it's the Conservation Commission is kind of taking the lead on it because it seems to be the most appropriate for them.
So that will be soon a public conversation, right?
Yes, yeah, the problem they have is they don't want to put huge amounts of work in until they see what the landscape's gonna look like. And we don't have any buyouts and we haven't taken down buildings, so. But they're talking about things like on School Street, where there are 3 buildings that have been accepted for buyout, they're talking about a canoe access. With some parking, so people who are coming through town, cause, oh, let's stop here, and then they can go to the restaurant. Of course, over near the rec field there's gonna be a lot more open space. Where there's also talk about, do you want bicycles to be able to tour through Plainfield and in a safe and pleasant way, and of course, that seems to be a positive thing. We're allowed to put up a gazebo in the floodplain, but nothing else. So they have a lot of ideas and they'll do drawings for us. It's all free, so.
But you
The
can put
National
up like
Park
a bike
Service.
rack, or
Yeah,
you could put up.
things that if they get washed, away or at least wet, they don't get ruined.
I have a housekeeping question. I don't know if anybody knows this. So if we're talking about asking the grants administrator to apply for the grant, do we know if Karen Hatcher is also the select board member and the grants administrator? Is there gonna be a new grants administrator? When will that be happening?
She is currently the grants
Okay.
administrator, and I don't see anyone stepping forward.
Okay, so she's gonna plan on doing both?
She's gonna plan.
Okay.
She should have downplayed how much work it was.
Yeah, she tells us a lot about how much work it is.
Is it a paid position?
There's a stipend. I can't remember.
So Will, I haven't heard from you on this. What are you thinking about the municipal planning grant application?
My experience with planning grants is that the more specific you are, the better you have for getting them awarded. So, it's easy to cast a really broad net, but I think, like I say, the more specific you have, and a more deliverable result, the plan, we want to do this, this, and this, and the planner will, and this is part of the grant thing, will deliver these products that we will then use. And keeping that focus on the village makes sense. And the housing committee, should look at things that would enhance the possibility of housing and the livability of the village. That's a lot of different components. And I just, my only concern is that it gets too broad and wide and vague.
Yeah, I think I would support that, and it's also, for the select board, they would want something specific to act on. And not just a general, hey, we should do this.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like the spirit and the focus of what we've been working toward has been a lot of not necessarily expansive development of Plainfield, but certainly a housing focus specifically on the existing village, rehabilitating the buildings that we have, trying to maximize the space that is currently inhabited within the town and village of Plainfield.
Mhm.
And I think it would be worthwhile to structure our, request around that particular focus.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I feel like some of the other things are sort of already covered. The potential expansion, I feel like was mentioned pretty heavily in that Penn State report, which they didn't get into exact specifics, but I don't know how much that would differ from a look that somebody else would take at those same resources. Be like, yeah, Goddard would be a great opportunity for expansion, and then also another development wherever you can put it. Like those things seem like they're kind of, we've covered that ground already.
I think also we want to encourage, ADUs, is that what?
Sure, yeah, like
In the village.
densifying what we have.
Yeah.
As part of our improving our village, we wanna.
Yeah,
include,
More dense, sorry.
Editorial comment.
Yeah. It's the end of the day.
Justify, justify. So what would the next steps be? Should we?
Well, hold on, we added are you going on to next steps moving forward?
And I just meant for the.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Like, I mean, David's for it, we seem generally for it, I know we're not all here today, if he's not here.
Yeah, I would say,
David's not here.
can we request that David put together his pitch for what he
Yeah,
thought, and
yeah.
then we look at it next time?
Yeah,
And
and
then
then maybe take a vote.
maybe,
next
yeah,
time.
either vote or suggest edits, or, just confirm that the intent and the focus is what we feel like it should be.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We did, sorry. Brain fart.
Lydia, I'm sorry, I sort of interrupted.
Oh, no, I interrupted you. I thought you were going on to the steps moving forward agenda item right here, but and I was just gonna remind you, we added 2 things.
Yes, so should we discuss letters for John Broderick next?
You got the floor.
Okay, great. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm really just passing on a request from Downstreet, which came into my inbox about the state's Qualified Allocation Plan, or QAP, which governs how the low-income housing tax credit applications are scored and awarded in Vermont, and every state has a QAP. So, I think what Angie's letter was about was that there's proposed changes right now to the QAP. There's an open 30-day comment period that closes this Friday, and she has asked supporters in Downstreet's coverage area to submit comments, urging VHFA to take another look at what is proposed, because the proposed language makes it significantly more difficult for smaller and rural projects to compete in this statewide competition for resources. So in my experience working with low-income housing tax credit over many decades, it's already skewed against small projects. It's already skewed against rural projects for a lot of reasons. My introduction to Vermont was having to explain to the people of Stanford, Vermont, population 622, that they weren't gonna get a low-income housing tax credit project in their little tiny town, because the economies of scale were never gonna work. So I think that's one of those things. Downstreet finds ways to make these developments work at around 25, 28 units, 30 units. Their new development near Walmart is 28 or 30 units. Their new development in Waterbury is 28 or 30 units in one building. And that's sort of the sweet spot that, makes it work. It might not ever work in Plainfield. Or we might find a place that it would work for Downstreet. The reason I keep focusing on Downstreet is because there are 5 designated regional housing organizations in the state now, and primarily low-income housing tax credit deals go to them. There are some private developers in the bigger markets that are taking advantage. In other states, it's much more dominated by private developers. Vermont is pretty unique, because its QAP is normally one of the most progressive in the country. And I've read more than a dozen. And, but I think in this case, that there seems to be pressure to spread the subsidy more thin and across a wider range. And because of the changes, it's just gonna make it even more difficult for groups like Downstreet to compete in the markets of Barry, Montpelier, Morrisville, and not to mention the Plainfields, the Cabots and the Calluses that they also, serve many of. So again, I'm passing this on, because I'm on the board of Lamoille Housing Partnership, which is merging into Downstreet. So I'm getting all the Downstreet announcements directly from Angie, because she's extending that stuff to our board that still exists. So I'm just passing it on as a resident and a professional, just to say, this would be a good thing to comment on. Because it just really speaks directly what this advisory committee, I think, is trying to achieve, which is more development, even though there's so many things stacked against small developments right now.
Can you answer?
Huh?
I just have a question that, about what is the low income housing tax credit? You don't have to give me a too long question, but how does that, how do you benefit from that? What is it?
Yeah, well, really quick. Housing Act of 1937 created public housing authorities, and they sprung up all over. Housing and Community Development Act of 1972 created Section 8, and housing Section 8 development sprung up all over. The Tax Reform Act of 1986, Ronald Reagan's second term, created a lot of corporate tax cuts, but it also created the low income housing tax credit. So now, from the late 80s, it's not HUD that's funding every inch of new development. It's the United States Department of the Treasury, which gives out tax credit authorities to Vermont Housing Finance Agency and 56 or 57 others in every state and territory and commonwealth in the country. So every state gets an allocation, and then developers like Downstreet or like big private developers in other states or here, they apply for those credits, they sell those credits on Wall Street to generate capital. That capital is used for construction, and then the whole development is regulated for a period of 15 or 30 years or more to make sure that only eligible households live in those units. It's an expensive proposition to do these developments. It's a very limited number of developers that do them. But Downstreet is one of the best in terms of nonprofits. Really sharp, really good team, and they're always on the lookout for deals that will work. And if we were to go to, if this group were to go to them and say, we have, a place that could work, they are interested in doing deals here and nearby all the time. But again, I think they're good partners in terms of they want to make them work. And just like I had to face in Stamford 15 years ago, they have to face in Plainfield just to say, they didn't make up the rules of how the tax credits are allocated and how the choices are made, but they try to make them work in smaller communities. These changes make it even harder to do.
And
Just to clarify, the qualified action plan is something that VHFA crafts?
VHFA monitors it and they keep the text on their website. And each year they have a public process, or maybe it's every 2 years here. But periodically they update that and change it. They propose changes, they ask public comments, they hold public hearings, and then they finalize it in the governor's.
Okay.
So this is if some developer who wanted to develop something here in town, they would apply for, the tax credits. And they have to fill out a complicated application, and because it's so small, they might not qualify. If these changes are made.
Yeah, or it might not be worth it. Selling tax credits means finding an investor willing to, make a 20 or 30-year investment or 15-year investment. And then they have to hire attorneys to develop a lot of paperwork for that financial instrument to work. Well, the development has to pay all of those legal fees and all of those syndication fees and all of the Wall Street fees to sell the credits. So it's an expensive transaction, and it's a really complicated transaction, which is why
It has to be big.
it has to be larger.
Yeah.
And it's why the small organizations are merging into the large ones. I mean, the Memorial Housing Partnership had one county for 25, 30 years. Bennington, the organization where I was executive director, has merged into a Rutland organization. So it's just kind of the nature of how it's going.
So then are they making there be more fees? It's more expensive. So then these smaller projects won't want to get going? Is that what the changes are?
It's making site control more difficult in smaller towns. It's giving more points to, for the deeper subsidies, which are harder to do, scoring more points if you're able to serve people at 30% of area median income. And it just makes it easier to do when you have rental subsidies with that, which are harder to get out here.
And
For a down-
proximity to services seem to be a scoring thing, but of
Right.
course, we don't have any.
So-
So, as much a positive,
Pizza.
yeah, pizza for all our
Gas.
wounds. But, so, yeah, I did see how, just reading the correspondence that you forwarded, how it was all making small rural development much, much harder for
Right.
downstream.
Right.
And others who are flying their craft in those waters.
Yeah,
And when does this letter have to be in, did you say again?
Friday.
Friday.
Oh, okay, well, so we need
You've got
to
2
make a
days.
decision.
But this was a really quick turnaround time for this. It's just a 30-day comment period. It's
Yeah,
moving kind of quickly here.
So
so,
Liz,
yes,
I'd like to, looking at the sample letters that John sent, I think the one that would fit the housing committee the best is number 3, the municipal letter. And I would make the motion to make things simple that the the Plainfield Housing Advisory Committee send the copy of the municipal letter with the current date, and Liz, that you sign it as co-chair, and that we just send that on.
seconded.
Okay, so we can discuss that. That seemed to me the best letter. And I know David sent in his email that he was in favor of, sending a letter of endorsement, and to craft our own before Friday would be quick. So I think that letter, even though it's they know it's a copy, and it would still work for us.
You're gonna say, is there anyone who can look at it and spruce it up?
Well, it's good to know,
That would be Liz.
just even the standard letter, it's great to get it in there and for them to see the breadth of who's submitting comments about this.
Yeah,
And
so people are
concerned about it.
taking notice.
I think it would be worth noting too, if Liz, if you're gonna doctor up,
Yeah.
doctor it up a little bit, is I had commented or replied to the email about Act 181. I don't know if anybody's been following that.
I have been, yeah.
Yeah, but there was, just in the last 2 months or less, a lot of people in Vermont have had some issues with the Act 181 that's going into effect because it specifically seems to target rural development. And everybody was commenting and going to meetings and all that, and they're actually repealing some of the rules in Act 181 that would have made it more difficult to develop rurally.
Yeah.
So,
So
I
this
don't know if
could,
that could be added in the letter, hey, with recent
Prefer not to.
things. What?
I would prefer not to. I would
Not to.
prefer to just keep it as a letter we have, whatever.
Right, but if we're gonna be doing it, trying to make it as effective as
I
possible.
guess I think I could fill into another issue.
What,
I think-
Act 181?
Yeah, I do.
We'll just bringing it up as like a precedent,
Mm.
like, hey, there is precedent. It's also showing that we are to have the thumb, like on things that are important for rural Vermonters. But I mean, just an idea.
Well, maybe given the time crunch, it would be simpler to just use letter number 3, as Will called it. But I do think we should discuss 181 at some point, Lydia.
Yeah, they just made the decision, I think after we finalized the agenda, so I didn't add it on, I don't know if the state did say they were repealing, but basically this week they're on their way to repealing some of those rural things.
If we had the time, if this letter wasn't due Friday, we could certainly take the time to do that, but I'd feel more comfortable having the language in front of us and just sending that in rather than try to modify it too much and not everybody having a chance to say that. My thought.
Yeah, okay. So do we have a motion that I should follow letter 3, and sign it on behalf of the committee?
We already moved.
Yeah, we have that motion on the floor. We're discussing it.
Yeah,
All in favor?
Alright,
Aye. Okay.
thanks for taking this up, folks, appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
I'll let the down street folks know too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, see ya.
You feel free to come again.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Liz,
Yes.
I've got to go to another board meeting at 6:25, but what I do is I'll just leave the Zoom meeting going. I'll be muted. And then when I see everybody get up, I'll stop the Zoom meeting and the recording. So feel free to keep going as long as you want.
Okay.
I have the pro plan. You can go forever.
Okay. Well, it does say steps moving forward.
well, the MTAP funding was added, but maybe we could,
Oh, sorry.
I don't,
Yeah.
do we need, did he say a deadline? I didn't read that email from him. I saw
There is a deadline on that funding.
I thought it was end of March. I thought that already passed. So I thought, the day I was sick, I had
Extended
said,
it for us at one meeting. I think he might have. He
I thought
either
it
said the end
was
of
June.
June. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what I
Oh.
remember.
well, I had sent that, I thought we were gonna talk about it that day that I was sick and I had sent the email. But I mean, whether it's me or Hazel or somebody else, I haven't been doing a lot of working group outreach stuff because it's a lot of work. It's more than like volunteer hours.
Mm.
And I know the Resilience Hub used that money to pay themselves. So I don't know if that would make sense for some of it. But
Yes, I think it would.
money's a good motivator for anyone, you know?
Yeah, the funding is good through June.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it would be nice to have as a vehicle for promotion, like if you were gonna do tabling at the farmer's market, like
That's
that should be compensated.
Yeah, cause I'd like to go a
Additional.
lot, you know, to generate the interest, but
Yeah.
it is a lot of time. I think it's like 3 hours every.
So I'm not sure of the mechanism of how you like apply for and get the money.
I could talk to Ray Carter,
Yeah.
she's who I was talking to at the farmer's market about it, so I could reach out to her. Hazel and I haven't met again for the working group, so we have to do that as well. So we can coordinate that and just get more info from her and
That
see.
sounds like a good idea, like you could find out, like, did she do it on a, like an hourly basis, you know, for her time or?
She said industry standards like $50 an hour.
Yeah.
So I think, that was so long ago, she said that they kept track of their hours for a little bit, maybe. And then they kind of generated like an estimate of, you know, it's gonna be this amount of time, this many
Mhm.
hours.
Well, maybe we could estimate what you think it would be, and then put in, a request, and then you work around that.
Yeah, yeah, cause if we
So
just
it's
add
about
up the
whatever.
farmers markets numbers.
$2,000 or whatever you got.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm having briefly talked about the revolving loan fund. I'm wondering if, depending on how much we have for total funds, it'd be worth, it's 3,000 total.
Okay.
Um, yeah, if we burn through it all, that's fine. But if we had a portion of it, it could be worth having somebody on grant research to see if there's other avenues of funding that we can get for the revolving loan fund, or try to increase the principal there, and then potentially promote.
I actually wrote down 5,000 in
Okay.
the meeting of 3/11.
does
Okay.
anybody
Yeah.
have grant writing experience? Or
No.
grant?
I mean,
I
minimal, minimal.
I took a grad level class. But I also have a habit of taking on a lot. Cause I'm bored and then I go, oh my God, I have no time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm definitely, I feel like it could be worthwhile to seek out somebody who has experience around looking for
Yeah.
things that are municipally centered, you know, just the fact that this is a
Like paying somebody
town-run
else.
program. There might be people that are more versed in what's potentially available.
could we offer to pay Karen Hatcher more money? To help?
Well, you know, there was the guy who was her second in command. for a while.
Like,
Yes,
yeah.
don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I
Yeah,
think,
that's the kind of thing we could certainly advertise. It'd be really
Yeah,
easy to put a
right.
little, wanted ad or something. It's like, hey, we're looking for a grant researcher and writer to help us.
I could ask him, if he recommended it, because
I like that.
I think it's like. I looked at, I could ask.
Yeah,
So we're looking for possible planning grant, source of planning grants, is that correct?
Yeah, either the planning grant, I feel like there was a source for the planning grant.
Well, the one source that is one that, Will is talking about, and that was the source for the East Montpelier one.
Yes.
It's the,
Yeah,
I forget, but anyway.
It's, yeah, it's a municipal planning grant. The deadline is done for July. And I think the town planning grant committee, with Karen, and they have a new member, Walter Hope, could do a lot of the administrative work for applying for the grant on that. We just need to get our end together.
What we want.
Yeah, what we
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
I can work with David on that.
Would you?
Yeah. Just get some, there's a certain number of requirements, and you just have to make a list of what you need. And then you get the award, then you can do the RFP to get somebody to do the work. And the grant committee can help with that.
So you'll be working. I'm sorry, it's the end of the meeting. I'm running out of
We
steam.
should keep the,
Yeah.
hopefully the couple $1,000 that we might still have available, for, a couple more weeks to thinking about, like.
Yeah.
We haven't
yeah.
told you.
I was not talking about a planning grant. I was talking about trying to find grant money for the community, for the revolving loan fund.
Okay. Sounds
Looking
good.
for more sources.
Yeah,
Do we decide on this now? Or are we gonna wait? Like the MTAP funding, or are we gonna wait until we have more people for the committee?
I think we should.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, there's only.
wait or,
3, 4,
or
5.
decide.
Oh, I've
1, 2, 3, 4.
we do have a
5.
quorum with Will.
Yeah,
I feel like,
But I wanna connect with
Might be
Hazel to
good.
see,
Yeah.
like, if he wants to take on that,
yeah,
cause I,
maybe more information, and then
Okay.
we put it on the agenda for next time
yeah.
to discuss the specific proposal to fund the outreach.
so we really have 2 requests for the VCRD people, who were the people who were saying they would give us this $5,000, right? We have one part for outreach
Community
that
outreach.
Lydia and Hazel would do, and a second part for someone to research what grants are available to go into the.
Right, research and potentially apply for.
And
I don't know.
research and potential apply,
Yeah.
yeah. That sounds good. Are
And
we,
the other, I was actually thinking another option, but just to continue, just to put it out there, and we're asking for people to come, hopefully come forward as a building advisory group,
All right,
and that wouldn't be bad if we had the money
to pay
to help out with some, yeah.
Is it the
either paying
ordinance?
them or,
group.
yeah.
Okay.
as
yeah,
part of the
I feel like
ordinance.
let's definitely think about that. Is David gonna report on that next meeting? Okay, great.
I think he said, Sam Clark and I have started an informal discussion regarding a support group of local builders to help homeowners planning building improvements, ADUs and the like.
Great.
Yeah, or the money could go to the person who's gonna go have to be part of the inspection, such as the health officer or the, constable. We're asking people to come forward,
Have the goodness of their hearts.
yeah, to do a complicated thing, like inspect a house and be, user friendly in a way that this would be a new responsibility for them. And they might look at it and say, no compensation either.
So that brings us to steps moving forward.
Mhm.
Take a nap.
I'm not sure what that one was.
I got a step. I don't know if it's a step. I have a thought, it's a bit of a kernel of something, and it goes back to an idea that I can't remember if we discussed it in the big meeting or if it was a side one. But that I'm interested in trying to find ways to promote specific projects. I think it was, we met with Rose about the like sidewalks and the paths. And the discussion on that was that if there's a specific plan already in place, it's gonna be much easier to find funding for it. So you can't apply for funding if you don't have a specific thing you're looking for. And so I sort of was bouncing this idea off, a dear friend of mine who's an architect, and because I was thinking about trying to find ways to have either plans about specific sites. So similar to like that other program that we were looking at earlier, that was the homes.
Yeah, 802.
Where they have the pre-approved things, you can just pull from that. I think in Plainfield's case, we might have more specific needs in that. I think for a general development, that could make sense. Where you're like, okay, we have a field, we can throw in a building. But in our case, if we're talking about renovating or working with really specifically strange sites that might not fit that pre-existing program, how can we solicit professional services for that in a way that that would give us the ability to potentially have the ability to apply for funds to get those projects done. So say we had a couple parcels that the buildings are toast. We want to see that the houses can be built on them. The method that my friend proposed to me, and he said that architects tend to like to participate in competitions. So he was like, if you framed a competition, it was essentially like, these are the issues that this town is facing. Number one, climate change. There's been a huge amount of property that's been destroyed by the flooding. Number two, affordability, huge concern. Number three is creative reuse. Is there some elements of the structure that can be retained? How do we parlay that into another building? And there was another, can't remember it right now, but just the idea that you can have those set of constraints on the project that provide a context for why people would want to weigh in on how to develop a tiny parcel in a tiny town somewhere.
Yeah, maybe that's in an awkward.
Maybe it's awkward. Yeah,
Or,
exactly. Yeah. So I think that this goes to some of the community outreach stuff that we've talked about, where it's like, can we find somebody who has one of these parcels that is problematic, but they have a desire to see it developed, or we somehow, there's energy around creating a better space out of that. Could we put together a open call competition for people to submit plans?
I think that's a really cool idea.
I do too, because I think it actually is an interesting, I mean, we live here, so it's inherently interesting to us. But as long as it touches on like the bigger themes of this moment, I think that people would take a crack at it. And my friend actually told me the right time of year to do this. I don't remember it right now. I'm gonna have another follow-up conversation with him, but essentially, if you're trying to incentivize students, certain things happen at certain times throughout the year, so they want to know about, like, a due date would have to make sense with their timeline. And he said to try to build a selection committee or a board or something that would have the ability to help actually see the project executed. So can we get an adjudication board who would look at the submissions? Can we get like a local architect who is, willing to be on the ground here, who can do that, contractors or builders that could be able to execute the project here, maybe somebody that's in finance that would be able to put together.
Yeah.
And then, so we would have a board that would review those submissions, and then we could maybe develop on them.
If the time of year lines up with some kind of community event.
Yeah.
Like old home days or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
will
did
announce
talk
the
to-
winners.
I did talk to somebody, I forgot, that I talked to somebody who isn't, I forgot what his role is, but anyway, he's at the architecture school at Norwich.
Oh.
And I was like telling him that we were a town in need of a project.
Yeah.
Some help with rehabbing our housing and, you know, I said, I know you did a little project up at Twinfield once and he said, well, oh yeah, the school likes to have, whatever, the architecture professors do like to have local projects for the, students.
Yeah.
And I do forget exactly, what he told me to do next, but I think he gave me, I'll have to look and see if I wrote it down, but
Yeah.
I think it was somebody at this church I go to, so I will, think about that and
Yeah.
see if I can find that.
If you get the contact, I'd love to reach out to them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And then I forgot to also mention that at the conference, they were talking about, and you may have heard of it, I think it's called the Vermont Housing Trust. Anyway, it's an upcoming proposal. It has not gotten the approval. I think I'll give you the right title if I got that wrong. I'll look it up. Anyway, they basically are going to try to address, housing that we're talking about here in the village of Plainfield, like, you know, dilapidated housing, housing that's been, abandoned, et cetera, and there'll be a way, to get that housing, there's hopes for all of it, I'll look up, but anyway.
Yeah.
They are trying to do just what you're talking about, is get a property that is abandoned or not, you know, needed to be removed.
Yeah.
And then come up with the owner, like even the town, in some way, the state would own that property and then be able to sell it. So they're gonna be like engaged in the transfer of ownership to a new owner who would be then rebuilding it.
Yeah.
And they would be helping out. I got it, well, Hopes for All, I think, a resource for designs and open source. I have to read over, my notes, but anyway, it sounded really good. And unfortunately, it's still not there yet. But, I think did anybody else get a email about it?
I don't think so.
I don't think I did.
Okay.
If I did,
I
I
don't look at all my.
didn't read it.
There
know
was
what
something
you
I wanted to tell you guys, which I sort of found out because I'm an abutter. Which is on Lower Road, and David would know about this, because I think he might also be a butter at New Hamburger. There's a guy, who has got plans for, I guess the most glamorous way of describing it would be a tiny home village.
Is this the quarry? On the
Yeah, quarry guy.
Oh,
And the least glamorous would be a trailer park.
Yeah.
But basically, he's got a picture of a kind of oval road. It's on his own land and he still lives there. He'd be the landlord. And I think it's 8 tiny homes or 8 movable, they have to be movable
Right.
houses. And there's a central area that could be laundry or common room or something. And he went before the DRB a couple of weeks ago. And so I went, not because of this, just because I'm an butter.
Mhm.
And it sounded pretty good to me. I mean, he had one neighbor who was there and spoke in favor of it. And I felt Chris Mixick?
Yeah, Christmas cake.
Yeah, he was in favor. I
Okay.
felt in favor. And I think David is in favor. So it seemed like it was gonna go forward. But I thought that was good to know.
Yeah.
You know.
There was one detail I thought I heard about, this is all like secondhand or third hand, that the individuals rented by the month. They didn't have a lease for like 6 months or a year.
Yeah, I think
They only have.
Is it a bring your own home?
it is bring your own home.
Oh,
You would
okay.
be basically renting out a pad
Mm-hmm.
and
With services?
utilities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he felt like he wanted the ability to be able to get rid of people if they didn't work out.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah,
So I just wanna come back, so steps moving forward. I wrote Graham has a thought kernel.
Mhm.
What would the step be for that? Just like looking into it?
Yeah, I don't know what's the next step on that.
About a year.
I don't know if it's worth spinning off this idea into a committee. I have no idea.
What, you mean a working group?
Yeah, working group, excuse me, yeah. Or if it's just something I would keep,
Just tucked away in your.
well, I would
in
just
your-
keep
or
having
in
to bring
your
it up.
thought
to the
fob?
meeting. Yeah.
Your thought.
I wonder if it could be in our working group.
In the inventory,
Yeah,
yeah,
Oh, cause you know which ones are weird and need.
yeah,
and we do have a plan to go visit some, but with David being ill, I thought it was best to wait for him.
yeah,
I don't think
Yeah,
that
I
house
think
is
it-
good. I don't think either of
people-
those buildings are going anywhere soon.
it doesn't seem like there's.
Which one is it again?
There's one on School Street.
Yeah.
And then there's, I think he also was interested in going to see the building that used to be the restaurant.
Oh,
The
that's
little
Oh, yeah, sure.
Building with the
It's really
first floor.
cute.
I've seen
Yeah.
pictures of it, but it's weirdly laid out.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's been a lot.
and actually, I went to the select board. Was it this week? I can't remember, but anyway, recently. And I had asked Michael Billingsley about the funding to get rid of the Batchelder Dam, and then the water level would go down, and Michael had previously said, oh, well, that's all on hold, we don't know when we're gonna get that, but in the select board meeting, he sort of touched on it, and it sounded like it was gonna happen.
Do they have a timeline?
You don't think it will, Betsy?
No, what the, director of, Friends of the Community has said, at least publicly, twice, that it would, in the last month or two, that it was, not gonna happen this year.
Hmm.
They want this project to happen, is what they said. They don't have any funding, and it would be FEMA money, I think. And they
To knock
don't
it
have the
down.
money this year, and it can't happen this year, but they're hoping they'll have the money in the near future. That's all I heard her say. And she's working, I think, on projects in Barry this year.
Well, both those properties could potentially be worth more money if that did happen, or when that happens, because
Yeah,
they'll be less at risk.
Yeah.
yes,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Uh,
And, sorry, the thing I was referring to work with dilapidated properties is called a land bank.
A land bank, yeah.
Yeah.
For steps moving forward, I'm gonna do more research on Act 181 and
Good.
just keep, and I know you said that you were
I've
doing.
been reading a lot about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did,
Send me
did you,
information.
did any of you read, there was I think,
The letter,
the letter in the Digger
yeah, I was reading a lot of that.
about this business about 40,000 homes being needed is way overstated?
Oh, no, I didn't read that.
Yeah, you sent it
I
out.
don't know. I don't remember that.
Did they
stat.
have?
No, you didn't send it out to everybody.
No, it was a different group of people, but actually, there was Lida who sent it,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, maybe you would send it out.
I could, so,
Yeah.
you know, that's what we all
Yeah.
hear, right?
Could we, maybe have
Vermont's
a,
housing crisis is built on a lie.
Yeah,
That's the one.
that's the one.
can we have, like a, bullet point for next meeting to get a 181 report?
Yeah, Lydia, do you want to do that, or do you want me to do it, or should we both do it?
We can both do it.
Okay.
Maybe you wanna consult Mike Zonner,
Like who?
but I could ask him.
About 181?
Well, yeah, he's retired director, statewide director of Act 250,
Ah,
Who
okay,
is?
I didn't know that.
Michael Zonner. I will ask him if he'd be interested.
Well, but also depending on
You
who we
wouldn't find
ask,
out.
there's gonna be a very skewed view of it. So a lot of the stuff I was reading, the road rule is one of the things that has been, or is gonna hopefully be repealed. And that's stating that if anybody on their property, say I had 50 acres and I wanted to log on the back 20 and I wanted to build a road that was longer than 800 feet, which is only 0.15 of a mile. I, even as a private landowner, would have to submit a permit and get approval and it costs like thousands of dollars. So, and a lot of people who are in favor of Act 181 and making these changes are like, oh, that's not gonna really affect anybody. Nobody's gonna, and then, 800 feet sounds really big, but if you actually know how much of a mile it is, like 0.15 in Vermont, you definitely would make a driveway or a road. Or, for example, talking about subdividing lots here and things like that. So just being mindful of who we invite and what kind of lens they're gonna bring to it.
I think he's a very professional person.
I'm not saying that he's
If we
not, I'm
did-
just
if
saying
we
that
did
everybody has
Speak
their.
with him, he is very professional. Like, he's an ultimate professional.
I'm not
He
saying
would
that he's not,
present
I
it in
just,
a very, he would try not to be a skewed.
is he for Act 181? Like,
I have
does he
no
a
idea,
provision?
I've
Oh,
never
okay.
asked him about it, but he, as a retired specialist in Act 50, he'll know about it. And if in fact he did come to present, I have known him to do a week of research. Honestly, he did a week of research for the last issue that he came to talk to the select board about. I mean, like, his wife told me, he was like working a whole week to
Yeah.
make sure he had it correct.
I don't think we want him to do that.
Make sure you
If somebody wants to do a week of work, we have other things.
Well, I don't think no,
Yeah.
he's not taking that on at this point in time. It was a different issue.
I have another just popcorn thought.
They're all kernels and nuts over there.
It's loose, everything's loose. We know that the FEMA buyout buildings, when they get bought out, they have to be torn down, they can't be repaired. The parcels, can the home sites not be rebuilt on, or does that apply to the entire parcel? Are there some parcels that have portions of land on them that would not be at risk of flooding, that could be developed?
That's a good question.
I wanna say somebody said at one of our earlier meetings. I think it was one of actually, I don't know if it was a committee member or somebody from the public, but I think they said that you weren't allowed to. Once, because we had talked about the inventory and what we would do with those houses that were like 100% can't live in them, or even the partial ones. And I think I don't know if that's true, but I think I recall somebody saying that you can't build.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from the early kind of working with the FEMA people days was one guy who probably was on Brook Road.
Yeah.
Who was flooded where he was.
Right,
But
his bigger parcel.
he had a bigger parcel and he wanted to like divide it.
Yeah.
So that he could live on the higher parcel
Oh,
and he could kind of
subdivided.
abandon the lower parcel.
Yes,
I think that went through, didn't it?
I don't know,
I think it did.
I'd love to connect with him and see.
Yeah,
Remember who it is?
I could maybe find out who it is. Michael Billingsley would probably also remember. He's
Yeah.
very good on all these things.
Because it seems like there would be potential if there were larger parcels that overlapped into higher altitude
Yeah.
spaces or somehow out of the flood maps. Like, I don't know if they're making the distinction in terms of like where's the line of where you can build and what you can't build?
Right.
And is it on the new flood map? And if it cuts through the middle of a parcel, like how does that affect things? I'm curious if there's anybody we can talk to about that, because if the town ends up owning the parcels, and they happen to be mostly okay, I haven't looked at a map, so I don't know if there even is a property that I'm like the one that I'm imaginarily describing.
I don't think there'd be one in the village.
Yeah, because they're all sort of in
They're
that
little.
stream bed.
And they're all along the brook.
Yep.
I think
But
a few of
further up,
the
there might be.
Brook Road properties do go up that hillside, but I think
Yeah.
that hillside is not
I mean, it's
considered,
like,
yeah, stable.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
too steep, it's like, there are a lot of ridges, what do I
Yeah.
call them? In
Sort of
the
landslide.
the Plainfield area, yeah.
Yeah,
And because they're so steep, we happen to own a number of them. They're so steep. And they are, depending on how the river relocates itself, very susceptible to landslide.
yeah.
We have a very soft soil base.
Mm.
And not everywhere, but a lot of the village is a silt sand mix.
Yeah.
From where you are, do you look up and see like the back of the library and?
Yeah,
Is that-
not the library, I look at the back of Route 2,
Where Route 2 is about to fall down.
falling in. I look at, the meeting house, the Quaker Meeting House hill falling in. I look at the Cogville property falling in.
Hills.
I look at the health center property falling in. There's, I don't know, I'm sure we have a mile I mean, probably that up, but anyway, it's quite a long section of the river that curves around. And it's on either on our side or on the opposite side of the river, it's all falling in.
Yeah, there's erosion on that.
Yeah, you can
Pardon me?
go and see it and walk down to the Quaker Meeting House.
Yeah.
I used to walk down there with the
It's a
dog.
nice place to go.
Yeah.
We own the property across from it, and we have already lost, I don't know, 30 to 50 feet, along, of arable land, of farmland.
Mm.
And then on another area, we've lost about 30 feet of farmland along that, it's just a very soft area. And, when they dug down to try to, reinforce up here on Route 2, they went for 2 weeks digging down
Wow.
with some kind of huge jackhammer,
Yeah,
hammer. It went on forever. They never hit
they
bedrock,
didn't get any to any bedrock, no.
not to my knowledge. No, they never. So they're coming back again. They're doing it again this year.
I'm wondering if we should announce the next meeting and.
Yes.
I think we're done. I think we're just.
I think we have faded.
Next meeting, May 6th, 5 PM here.
Yes.
Stay safe.
And do we have a motion to adjourn this
I
meeting?
move.
Motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Seconded,
All right, we're done. Thank you.
a meeting adjourned at 6:48 PM.
Oops.
Thank you, Will.
He left. I think he's listening, or
He said when he sees everybody get up, but I'm just, what the flip? Okay. Okay, that's.